How's it going, Gumi Gang? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are doing awesome. I've been getting a lot of questions about which shotgun to use now since Dragon's Breath got removed from the game, which made a lot of shotguns actually kind of decent, and that's just gone now at this point. Also, the gameplay you're going to see is mostly Rebirth Island, just because it's so easy to get a gameplay very quick on Rebirth. I love playing Verdansk, I love the map, and I love to play shotguns on it. It's a lot slower, so it takes a little bit longer to get gameplays, and sometimes I just need to hop on, get a quick gameplay, get some B-roll footage, and just go. So that's why you're seeing a lot of Rebirth. So I hope you'll forgive me for that. But anyway, let's go ahead and hop into what I think is the sort of number 4 spot. Even though they aren't ranked, I think this is sort of on the lower tier. This is going to be the Riveter with Incendiary ammo. Now, you might notice it has Incendiary ammo, not Dragon's Breath. That's why this thing still has flame ammunition, because it's not technically 12 gauge Dragon's Breath, which got removed. It's just Incendiary. To briefly talk about why I put it on this list is because even though it is very inconsistent with only shooting 4 pellets, it's easy to use because it's full auto. It's got a 30 round mag, which is really, really nice in pretty much any game mode out there. But also, it's time to kill up close and at medium ranges for a shotgun, of course, are really, really great. And of course, up close in its max damage range, you can delete people in 3 shots, so your time to kill is about 300 milliseconds, which is really, really damn fast. Now, after that, it does drop to 600, and after that, 900. So keep in mind, it's not going to be the greatest at range, but it's Dragon's Breath, or rather Incendiary, so you'll blind people, which is kind of cheese, but hey, it does kind of balance out, I guess, because it's weaker at ranges. But anyway, this thing has great damage potential up close. It's very easy to use. My only gripe with it is the sprint to fire is a little bit slow, and also it only shoots 4 pellets, so it's not going to be super consistent if you're not using something to tighten your spread. So always rock this in tac stance and make sure you have at least 1 or 2 attachments to help with a good spread. And I'll flash up on the screen a Rebirth build and then a Verdansk build. They can honestly work in either game mode, but I know Verdansk, it's not as close quarters. Obviously, you're out in open fields a lot, so it's a little bit harder to use a shotgun, so having a little bit more range is always useful in Verdansk, but honestly, these work for both game modes. I just thought I would give you guys somewhere to start with both game modes. Next up, for the more difficult shotgun to use of the group, this is the Marine SP pump action from Black Ops 6. Now, the nice thing about this is even though it shoots really slow and has an awkward sprint to fire speed that's also really slow, it packs a really crazy punch with tons of damage out to a pretty good range, and your 2-shot range if you're using the long barrel on this thing is out to about 10.2 meters if you can manage to hit good solid chest shots. To give you some perspective, that's just barely off of where the Reclaimer was in its prime when it launched in Warzone and Warzone 3.0. So this has some great range. It's just a little difficult to manage because it shoots so slow, even with rapid fire, which does take its range down a little bit, but it's kind of negligible. And also, its sprint to fire speed is pretty terrible. It's a little bit clunky to use. It's kind of awkward, but I had to put it on this list because for the pump action players out there, this is probably the best one we have thus far, because everything else is just kind of poo-poo at this point. The Brysons were good with Dragon's Breath, but that's not here anymore. So this is a really good one to use. Just be careful. It is difficult to use, but it does pack a ton of punch. Now, for these last 2 shotguns I want to talk about, this is where it starts to get like really spicy, where I think these are some of the ones that you should definitely be checking out if you like shotguns. Now, for this next one, this is one I've talked about a lot of times in the past. It's yet to be untouched ever since it came to the game in Modern Warfare 2022. This is the KV Broadside, but with explosive slugs. And the reason I talk about explosive slugs, even though it's not a traditional shotgun, is because these things hit so hard, and the range they have is incredible. To give you guys some perspective, out to about 8.4 meters, all it takes is 3 torso shots and they're dead. And with the Dashbolt 60 attachments, that basically means as long as you hit stomach and up, you can 3-shot someone and your time to kill is 480 milliseconds. But what gets even crazier is out to 22 meters, as long as you hit 3 chest shots or even headshots mixed in there, it'll kill in 3 shots, so you basically have a time to kill of 480 out to 22 meters with this thing, as long as you're hitting chest. Now, of course, that's a little difficult to do at ranges, but the fact that that power is there is kind of crazy, and unlike other slug shotguns, this one has decent handling and mobility, and it's a lot easier to use. It doesn't have a ton of visual kick and visual recoil, so I figure it's a lot easier to use than something like the Haymaker, even though that also has a pretty decent damage profile. The build I have for it is basically something you can kind of work with that works in any game mode, but honestly, I do put on the long haul because it does give you a little bit better recoil control, which this thing can kick a little bit. The irons aren't super good, but they're clean enough to work with on Rebirth. If you want, you can swap out that Chimera laser and use something like a sight instead if you want a little bit clearer picture. And like I said, this thing is kind of crazy, has a ton of potential at range. It's so good at range, so this is definitely better for Verdansk, but the only downside, it's explosive slugs. They travel a little bit slower. It might be hard to hit people moving side to side, but if you can kind of get the flow down and understand how it works, this is a monster shotgun that has yet to be untouched, and it's honestly just amazing. Also, bonus points if you use the 7 milliwatt canted laser. I know a lot of people swear by this. I think the canted laser was way better back in the day of Modern Warfare 2022 and 23, simply because the laser was a lot more visible. Now it's kind of hard to see the green laser in this version of Warzone for whatever reason, so I don't like it as much, but it's definitely an option, and it's still a ton of fun. Now for the last shotgun on the list, and probably in my opinion one of the strongest just overall, just for good shotgun style gameplay, that is the MX Guardian, but specifically with the burst fire trigger. A lot of people were talking about this gun recently because you could use Dragon's Breath on it, and this is actually the gun that got Dragon's Breath removed from the game because you weren't supposed to be able to use it with full auto, but you could, and so it got taken out of the game pretty quick for all the shotguns. So this is the party pooper shotgun, but with the burst fire trigger, you really don't need Dragon's Breath. This thing is really, really good and really, really strong, and what's so great about it too is it's got great potential up close, but its damage drop-off really isn't that bad, and it's very consistent as long as you're hitting shots decently well. To give you guys what I mean in an example, if you look at the time to kill, out to about the 7-meter mark, it's going to have a time to kill of about 508 milliseconds if you hit your bursts well. Now after that, it does drop to about 736, and it stays that way until about the 22-meter mark. Now it's good because at 736, that's really not bad for a shotgun, especially at that range, for a shotgun that shoots spread and not slugs, of course. So this thing has some great potential up close with a really fast time to kill, but also having the luxury of being able to compete with some guns out at the 10 and 15 meter mark as long as you have a tighter spread to really work with. And it shoots 8 pellets, so it's not going to be inconsistent like the Riveter. So with the MX Guardian and the burst trigger, which is my favorite way to run it, this is a solid shotgun, and I really do think it's probably the #1 pick for my best shotgun overall. I'll flash up on the screen my Rebirth and Verdansk builds. A lot of people do talk about maybe using semi-auto as well. I don't prefer semi-auto because it's easy to oversample. In a tight situation, you can easily just oversample the trigger and it shoots really awkwardly. It's still got potential, but I don't prefer it. And then a full auto is okay. I just think that this is a much better way to run it. So I would say go burst trigger all the way. So there you guys have it. That is my 4 picks for the best shotguns that we have in the game thus far. But I want to know down below in the comments, do you think that I missed a shotgun? Is there another shotgun out there I'm not really talking about that doesn't need Dragon's Breath to really excel? Let me know your thoughts down below, and I will see you guys in the next video.